What is up, everybody? Welcome back to a brand new video, and today we are reacting to Thomas Bergersen's Humanity Chapter 2. So this is a long-awaited, well, not really long-awaited. I think he released the first album last year, later last year, and so this is out a few months later. I'm super excited to hear it, and I remember my impressions of the first volume being very positive. It was a lot of fun to listen to, lots of harmonic changes, lots of beautiful melodies, and wonderful orchestration. So yeah, I'm really excited to see what Volume 2 brings. You guys really enjoyed the first part, and so we're going to dive right into the reaction of the second part. So here we go. Starting with M backwards NP. If you guys know what that means, please let me know. But yeah, let's dive right in. Starting out with choir, just like the first volume did. This time he's opting to go with C major. Yeah, nice classical chord progressions here. Nice and simple. So overall, very light, very comfortable feeling so far. You get those low end instruments there as well. It could be strings, it could be brass. There it is. Nice swell of the strings. This whole wall of sound just comes up, very cinematic feel to it. Really nice. And the intensity dies down. Alright, so that first piece was really, really lovely, especially if you imagine like the waveform, right? Like imagine how he would be producing the piece. It kind of starts really quietly, it grows and grows and grows, and at the very end it goes back down just to like settle back down, you know, in the energy. And yeah, it's just a really beautiful piece to start with. So yeah, I love it. Starting with the, you know, nice pulse is always nice. Alternating between the C over E chord and the F chord, so basically 1 to 4. So it kind of leaves you suspended in the air, but notice how it still feels restrained because he's gonna save the intensity for later, right? Oh, it goes even further. That's a nice jump of a minor 7th there. Notice every time he repeats the chord progression, he's adding one new element in there. Nice A minor, nice and open, back to 5 and 1. Oh, it goes to 4. Drops out. String ostinato remains, love it. And then here's the minor 7th, right? Yes. Okay, for a second I thought that was like an ocean wave sound, which would like coincide perfectly with what I was just saying. Like it's like you're riding on a machine. Like if you've been to Walt Disney World, you know the ride Soarin', where you're like in the theater and then they show on the big screen you riding over fields and plains and all that. And then, you know, Smell of Oranges comes in. It's like you're really in that setting. It's really beautiful. So I thought that was kind of like an ocean wave, but then it came down and then it rose back up into this new section. Nice downers, nice reverb, you know. It doesn't sound like a sudden drop, which is nice. Yeah, and then one more time, this anthemic theme, but in the softest way possible, in the most delicate way possible for the most contrast. So now it's kind of like a felt piano sound. So far what I've experienced from Thomas Bergersen, his mixes tend to be quite compressed, and that's like a stylistic feel you either, you know, like or don't like, or maybe you don't really care. But something to keep in mind. It's kind of like a children's room, but it's slightly dark, a little creepy. You hear the singer in the background as well. I wonder if that's Audrey in the next track. Maybe not. I don't know. So you hear these different elements. You hear the melody standing alone in the the top, right? Then you have the strings in the bottom and the ostinato kind of driving it along. Nothing is overbearing or overwhelming to the listener. Nice. I love that C to E chord. That's one thing. Actually, let me pull up my chordy app. That's something I really quickly want to mention. So in the key of like C, right, we have the 3 chord, which is E minor, but in this case he decided to go with E major. So you get this G sharp in the middle, which has this really nice lead to the A natural in the F major chord, which follows it. So he's doing this triadic planing, right? So from C he goes to E major to F major. Alternatively, he could have done C, E minor to F, but that would have been a little too diatonic and it doesn't really stand out to the ear. So yeah, really, really nice. You know what's interesting? It's like the vocal is on the verge of being swallowed, but because it's so up the center and it's quite dry as well in comparison to everything else is kind of panned left and right. So it's making room for the vocal in the middle. So the vocal itself sounds kind of tiny, but I'm sure it's going to swell even more. But at this moment, it feels like the vocal is barely heard, you know, and maybe that was intentional to get that effect across. It's like the walls are closing in on you, right? And the vocal is trying to like break out and break free. So we'll see how that develops. Yeah, anytime I hear this woodwind, it reminds me of one of the tracks on Humanity Chapter 1. I forgot which one exactly, but it had that really iconic theme there. I don't know if he's going to stay in E minor now, but that was really cool. He like went from, you know, G major to A minor, and then was it like gonna go back to C or something? But no, he actually goes up to the B major chord and then to the E minor. So B being the secondary dominant in C major, right? Because, you know, B is the 5 chord of E minor. So now it's possible. Did we already modulate? Let's see. So the way he mixes up his instrumentation is really nice. Like in one moment you'll hear the mallets, in the next section you'll hear the strings come in, the next section you'll hear the brass come in, then the ethnic woodwind comes in. So he's really using all 4 sections of the orchestra in a variety of different ways. And add that to the different harmonic language he's using there. You know, these modulations, the orchestration techniques, it all comes together in this really full package. Yeah, he loves to do this 5 to 6 kind of chord progression here. Like in this, like before, remember he did B major to, before he did B to C, I think, in one of the earlier tracks. In this case, he's going, what did he just do? Yeah, here he's doing C sharp, going to D, right? So instead of going from 5 to the traditional 1, he's going from 5 up a semitone to like the 6 in a way. So that's really, really nice. I like that. That's really cool. First they all move together in triads, and now he's kind of, so right here. And now they're gonna move independently. Okay, no, they're still together now. So we changed from Baroque, we skip all the way forward to the 20th century, 21st century, and now we're back to the cinematic feel of those horns, back to this childish feeling. So now we've heard this mallet basically 3 times at this point, I think. So it's like a 3-part series in this one track. That's actually a really smart move, because all this time we've been hearing so much music, actual music, right? So to take a half a bar to go straight into sound effects before bringing back the climax, the final act of this piece, it gives our ear a little bit of a break before we hear more chords, more melody. Yep, just as I thought, he draws back at the... Oh, actually, that's it. Okay, so then the whole orchestra just dies away. That's so cool. It just climaxes at that point, pulls back, and that's it. Lovely. Okay, this is a little different. Already more of a pop feel because of those simpler chords, produced beautifully, performed really well. By the way, if you're interested, he went from B major to D major. So he goes, oops, actually, let's go to chord. Yep, there we go. So he's in the 5 of B, and then vocalist goes directly to D major through that F sharp. Goes down to the root, and now we're in D. So he's going up a minor 3rd in keys, but the melody goes down a touch. So it's really interesting. Some nice guitars to finish. Yeah, overall, just a nice song, you know? Has all the appropriate, you know, instrumentation, builds. Couldn't understand the lyrics too well. The instrumentation was very dense and very full, very rich. But, you know, that's just me. But still, overall, very, very nice. What's going on here? Got some like string cluster stuff going on. Very interesting. So little tinkly stuff came in the highs, and then the lows, so we get this low string coming in. Or it could be just like some sort of sound design stuff too, like a pad, or very evolving, very soundscapey. So far, this is a really nice break from what we've heard before. All the pounding, heavy instrumentation. Now it's more choral, you know, little more string heavy, hybrid sound. Then we go to, instead of D minor, we go to D major. Oh, I fully expected that chord, honestly. I love that. D major to B flat. Sounds like it's the piano and strings layered together for the ostinato. So again, Thomas is taking this approach of building and evolving over time. This is something is characteristic of him, I think. And a lot of trailer music is that they take one idea, and then they develop it over time, over like 5, 6, 7 minutes. They add more and more elements, and eventually they change chords, they switch it up, but they really milk those moments. Excuse me, what? Did not expect this. If this guy in the album art had a voice, I think this is what it would sound like. I always love it when Thomas pulls back the instruments, you know? After a few minutes of just hard-hitting stuff over and over, this is just a really nice contrast, really nice change. I feel like this and We Are Legends are well, especially this one. This is like just, as far as what... Sorry, like I was saying before we were so rudely interrupted. I feel like The Stars Are Coming Home is like classic Thomas Bergersen, and I could be totally wrong, but from what I've heard from Humanity 1 and 2 so far, I feel like this, when you hear a pounding track that has full orchestra, rock elements, you have a consistent drum beat that drives it forward, and you get elements that are just added on top of one another, a really compressed, full, solid mix. This is where I feel like Thomas is in his element. That's a tongue twister. I could be totally wrong. Please let me know if I am, but I feel like that's like I've heard that quite a few times, and I feel like that's a very characteristic sound for him, is to come up with this catchy theme or this hook that repeats over and over. Maybe there's some deviations to it, some variations on it, but generally he will take that formula and continue to build off of it each time. So that's really cool. Moving on to Take Me Back, I assume this is some sort of interlude since it's relatively short. Let's see. I would assume this is a live playing of this woodwind. Definitely has the dynamic and expression that in a sample library is very hard to pull from. Yep, now with this piano with the broken arpeggio or broken chords. Classic case of starting less, growing, and coming back down. So you get this nice kind of ABA type of feeling, when the wood comes back at the end. Wraps everything up in a nice little bow. Nice felt piano sound, very atmospheric. So it's at this point where it feels like the journey is really kind of starting here. The soundscape expands, right? You add more instruments, pan them left and right. Everything sounds a lot wider now. I did not expect the huge beat at the end. Da, 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 da. That was really nice. Yeah, that just culminated to a really beautiful climax. I really enjoyed that. Yep, this is classic. You take that same theme, repeat it, and now you develop it a little further. Slightly different chord progression. So D major is a very open and honest key, I think, a lot of times. 5-7, back to 1. Is that Russian? I don't know. The only reason I'm thinking it might be Russian is just because, like, I'm thinking back to, like, Captain America. Where, was it Zemo is his name? He's trying to, like, get Bucky to go crazy. So is this kind of like someone telling someone a story? Is that? Oh, there's the kid. Fairytale. If only I could understand what they were saying. Hear this progression, the 2 going to the 1-6. One of my favorites going to the 4. Nope, goes to the 6. This is one of those pieces where I hope he doesn't go into a huge bombastic ending. Like, this piece deserves to be in this spot of the album because everything's been so intense so far, right? Generally speaking. And now we're kind of at the midpoint of the album. That was a beautiful song, Starting with piano, ending with piano, with the vocals in the middle, building to the orchestra near the end, and then
earn a shareable digital badge in under a month.
Anyway, let's continue. So a nice atmospheric start this time. Nice kind of standard opening from Thomas. Takes out the low end here, actually. Just focusing on this melody on the high register with the ostinato. The chord progression is simple, but the fact that he's changing up the instrumentation and the keys every so often is keeping us on our toes. That drum fill is awesome. I love that it changes key and the vocalist comes in too. Yeah, another case of it just starts small, it builds up with some beautiful chord progressions, some beautiful themes, and then it just dies down at the very end. Each piece is like a self-contained story, which is really nice, especially when you have few words. Like, this is not a vocal album, the majority of it. So yeah, the instruments have to do all the work of taking the listener on an emotional journey from start to finish. And so far, each track kind of has that element of starting small, growing, being intense, modulating in different areas, throwing in beautiful melodies and harmonies, working together, counter melodies. Everything is kind of just beautifully spread out. Let's see how these last 3 tracks play out. So far, the vocal is the main element in the song so far. That's great. Harmony, vocal stacks, lovely. There's the strings, fills out the rest of the spectrum. Very nice. Much less reverb here, more intimate and a close-up to our ears here. There we go. There's the big climax. So big, so passionate, so full, Yeah, another just beautiful song. Starts from almost nothing, grows, climaxes,
Red River
and comes
College
back down.
part-time.
Okay, and finally we have tracks 11 and 12, and these are the edit versions of We Are Legends and the Stars Are Coming Home. I believe, let's see, yeah, they're all they're a little bit shorter, so maybe they're maybe the same track or trimmed down, or maybe it's a different version. I'm not sure, but let's find out together. It's like you're kept on your toes because those mallets just tinkle away. Again, taking the same chord progression but building on top of it every time. Oh, there's the E, going to F major. Back to the mallets. Delicate, childlike, innocent. Crescendo, instrumentation builds and builds. Oh, here's the strings. Here we go. Again, we're back in the filmic century. We get these big brass stabs, these, you know, anthemic moments, these motifs. And let's get some metal, why not? Some heavy rock stuff. Fades away, dies away. That was awesome. I love that. That anytime it goes dun, 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 like the bass line goes up and then it goes back down. I love that part. The harmonic rhythm speeds up so much. It gets your adrenaline going. This is familiar as well. Those ensemble chanting type vocals we've heard before. Again, the same chord progression, so it's died down a little bit right now, but wait, and there's the male again. Bringing the electronics, why not? I wonder if he's gonna have one more big climax at the very end. There it is. Nice. All right, that is the full Humanity Chapter 2 album. Really is a masterpiece. You know, you might not enjoy this style of music yourself. Maybe you're into like straight pop music, or maybe you're just into traditional orchestral music or R&B or whatever. Wherever you land on the musical spectrum, when you listen through this album, you realize that every track has its own story from start to finish. Most of them always start from like a really small element, right? Even just one single idea. It builds in instrumentation, builds in melody, it modulates, right? And then at the very end, it kind of goes back down. Maybe it has one final climax before going back down. Very typical of like trailer music, actually. It builds and builds and builds, right? Dips down, big moment, dips down, big moment, and then finishes off or something like that, right? So you can really tell Thomas put his everything into this album. Like the lengths of the tracks range from 2 minutes, right, to like 13 minutes. So he's really letting his imagination go wild here, and the amount of love and, you know, instrumentation that's gone into this record is amazing. And for me personally, like the tone of the record, I prefer music that's slightly less compressed, but I totally understand. Like, I think he's going for this amped up cinematic type of feel that's basically like a wall of sound that kind of punches you in the face on those big moments. It's supposed to feel really anthemic, really big, really large. The thing is, like, if it's compressed really heavily, then what happens is, for me at least, I don't get that sense of breath as much, and I want more of that contrast when possible. So that's my only little thought about it. But aside from that, the musicality of it and the performances, the vocal performances, all the musical ideas are all wonderful. And yeah, it'll be very exciting to see what Chapter 3 holds. So thank you so much for watching me in this reaction. I hope you enjoyed it. And look, if you want to compose orchestral music, if you're kind of just starting out or you're really not sure what you need to get started, but you want to write orchestral music and you want to produce music on your computer, but you're just not sure where to go, I put together an absolutely free guide called the Composer's Toolkit, and it's a new guide I just released, actually. But yeah, it's absolutely free, and it'll just go over the essential elements you need to you know, build up your studio and really get started with good equipment. So I think that's really important to know, you know, not to overspend and just afford or pay for what you need to get started writing orchestral music. So if you feel like any gaps are missing, hope this guide can help you. Again, it's totally free. If you click the first link in the description box, you will find it there. And I hope you enjoyed. It's my gift to you for watching this video. And again, I hope, you know, when you're composing your next piece, that you're all set up and you have all the equipment you need, and just you won't be hampered by any workflow. You'll just start writing, and that's the most important thing, is not to be distracted. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I'll catch you in the next video, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.